There is a mysterious hour each night when the world grows quiet, your eyes grow heavy, and the line between the seen and the unseen becomes thin. Most people waste that hour replaying their worries. But you are here to use that hour to attract miracles. Tonight, while you sleep, the impossible begins shifting toward you. You have forgotten something powerful. Miracles are not accidents. They are responses. Responses to a mind aligned with possibility, to a spirit open to receiving, to a man who dares to expect what others believe is impossible. Tonight, I will teach your subconscious to expect miracles, and expectation is the birthplace of every blessing. Think about your usual nights. You lie down, hoping for rest, but your mind whispers fear. You imagine what could go wrong. You rehearse conversations that never happened. You relive mistakes. You project disaster into a tomorrow that hasn't even arrived, and you wonder why life feels heavy. A mind focused on fear cannot receive miracles. A mind focused on possibility cannot avoid them. Tonight, your focus will shift. Imagine closing your eyes and releasing every tension you've been carrying. The worry about the future, the regret from the past, the confusion about what's next. All of it begins to dissolve as though something larger than you is reaching into your mind and clearing space for blessings to enter. This is not fantasy. This is preparation. Your subconscious is the magnet of your life. It pulls experiences toward you, bends circumstances, shifts opportunities, arranges coincidences that appear miraculous to the untrained eye. But your subconscious can only attract what it has been taught to expect. Most people expect difficulty, and difficulty comes. Tonight you will expect miracles, and miracles will come. Let me ask you quietly, when was the last time you expected something good without immediately doubting it? When was the last time you allowed yourself to believe in sudden breakthroughs, unexpected money, divine timing, perfect alignment? You used to believe in these things more easily. Life taught you to doubt, but tonight I will teach you to believe again. There is a sacred moment between wakefulness and sleep where your conscious mind weakens and the subconscious opens like a gate. That gate can receive commands, images, laws, and truths that will shape your days to come. Most men waste this moment, but tonight you will use it intentionally. Picture this. Tomorrow morning, before the world knows you're awake, you feel something different, a sense of anticipation, a quiet confidence that today is not an ordinary day. You rise and find that decisions come easier, opportunities appear quickly, and conversations unfold in ways you did not orchestrate. You feel guided. You feel lifted. You feel as though the universe is working on your behalf. That is how miracles introduce themselves, not loud, but undeniable. But I must warn you, miracles are not drawn to a restless mind. They are drawn to a surrendered one, a mind that is willing to release control, soften into trust, and make space for divine intervention. You cannot grasp a miracle with clenched fists. Tonight you open your hands. You may feel tired. Good. Fatigue weakens resistance, and the subconscious does its deepest work when resistance is low. As your body drifts, your mind will accept the new instructions I speak. Instructions that open the door to healing, abundance, reconciliation, opportunity, and guidance. Understand this. The greatest miracles begin where your effort ends. You are not here to force anything tonight. You are here to align. When a man aligns with higher law, he becomes irresistible to blessing. Think of the miracles you desire: financial breakthroughs, restored relationships, health in your body, clarity in your mind, strength in your spirit. You may believe these things require years, but miracles collapse timelines. Miracles create shortcuts. Miracles rearrange conditions while you sleep. Imagine this future. An email arrives with unexpected opportunity. A person reaches out with words you needed. A barrier dissolves. A path opens. Money flows from places you did not anticipate. Solutions appear where you once saw problems. This is what happens when the subconscious is trained to attract rather than fear. But the most powerful miracles do not happen around you, they happen within you. The moment you stop expecting disappointment and begin expecting alignment, the world responds differently. People sense it in your tone. Circumstances shift in your favor. Your intuition strengthens. Your choices improve. Your actions become inspired instead of forced. A man who believes in miracles begins walking like one. Tonight, you train yourself to walk that way. As you descend into sleep, you will feel layers of old beliefs peeling away, beliefs that told you life must be hard, that blessings are rare, that you must struggle for every inch of progress. These beliefs have kept miracles from reaching you. When they dissolve, blessings rush in to fill the vacuum. Let me give you a micro scene. 3 days from now, you stand somewhere ordinary, your kitchen, your hallway, your car, and suddenly you feel it. A wave of understanding washes over you. Something is changing, you whisper. You don't know how you know, but you know. And that knowing is the signature of a miracle already in motion. The subconscious does not need your logic. It needs your permission. Give it tonight. Let it absorb faith instead of fear. Let it rehearse abundance instead of lack. Let it meditate on possibility instead of limitation. A miracle arrives fastest to the man who is ready to receive it. But readiness is not thinking, it is feeling. You must feel worthy. You must feel open. You must feel expectant, even if just a little. Even if only for a few seconds before sleep claims you. That tiny opening is enough for the universe to begin its work. So breathe slowly now. Let your jaw soften. Let your shoulders drop. Let the noise in your mind fade like distant static. You are entering the hour where the invisible becomes powerful. Tonight, the doors you thought were closed will begin to crack. Tonight, the opportunities you feared missed will circle back. Tonight, the healing you prayed for will begin in your spirit. Tonight, the miracle you have been waiting for starts moving toward you. Do not force it. Do not fear it. Do not question it. Simply receive. Fall asleep with these truths shaping your inner world, and you will rise into a morning where miracles no longer look impossible, they look familiar. Sleep now, and wake to the impossible becoming real. There is an hour each night when effort loses its authority, and another power quietly assumes command. It is the hour when the senses withdraw their constant demands, when the body grows still, and when the mind loosens its grip upon the visible world. Few men understand the importance of this hour, yet it is here that the impossible first begins to arrange itself. Most men approach sleep as an escape from the day, never realizing that sleep is not an ending, but an entrance. What enters with you determines what will follow you into tomorrow. The mind does not stop working when the eyes close. It merely changes its method. It moves from resistance to reception. I have observed that the mind, when released from vigilance, becomes impressible beyond measure. Thoughts accepted in this state settle deeply and operate continuously. They shape expectation, and expectation shapes experience. This is not chance, it is law. Men who fail to attract fortunate events often blame circumstance, timing, or other men. Yet the true cause lies within the habitual impressions they accept during these quiet hours. The mind that replays fear at night awakens to confirm it by day. The mind that entertains possibility awakens prepared to recognize it. There is nothing mysterious about miracles. They appear mysterious only to those who do not understand preparation. A miracle is simply an event whose causes were unseen by the observer. The causes themselves were lawful, orderly, and inevitable once the proper mental condition was established. The night hour is where that condition is most easily formed. When the conscious will grows tired, it ceases to argue. It stops questioning every suggestion. It no longer insists upon proof. In this softened state, the mind accepts instruction readily. What it accepts here governs conduct later. I have known men who spent years striving by daylight only to advance little, yet who changed the course of their lives by changing what they permitted their minds to dwell upon at night. Their outer circumstances altered not because the world changed, but because their expectation did. Expectation is the silent command you issue to life. It does not shout. It does not plead. It simply assumes. Life responds accordingly. Most men, as they lie down to rest, rehearse what they fear. They replay conversations that never occurred, failures that no longer exist, and disasters that have not arrived. They call this thinking, yet it is merely habit. Habit, when unchecked, becomes destiny. A mind filled with fear has no room for favor. A mind rehearsing loss cannot receive gain. This is not punishment, it is alignment. The mind attracts that which agrees with its dominant assumption. Tonight, you are doing something different. You are not using this hour to brace yourself against tomorrow. You are using it to prepare for something better. Preparation is not effort. It is orientation. I have found that the men who appear most favored by life are not those who labor the hardest, but those who expect the best calmly and persistently. Their expectation is not emotional. It is quiet. It is settled. It does not fluctuate with mood. This settled expectation is born most easily when the mind is at rest. Nature herself teaches this lesson. Seeds are not planted in storms. They are placed into still earth. Growth begins in silence. No noise announces the moment of germination. Yet from that quiet beginning comes visible abundance. So it is with miracles. The mind that enters sleep carrying trust plants a different seed than the mind that enters sleep carrying dread. One awakens prepared to notice opportunity. The other awakens alert only to threat. Opportunity is always present, yet it reveals itself only to the prepared mind. Preparation is inward. It does not require struggle. It requires agreement. Agreement with what? Agreement with the possibility that life may work in your favor. This agreement does not demand proof. Proof follows agreement. It always has. I have studied the lives of men who seemed to rise suddenly, whose fortunes turned swiftly, whose difficulties dissolved unexpectedly. In every case, the outer change was preceded by an inner shift so quiet that even the man himself scarcely noticed it at first. He simply stopped expecting misfortune. The night hour assisted him in this change. When the mind ceases to resist, it becomes receptive. When it becomes receptive, it receives impressions that guide conduct without command. This guidance often appears as intuition, timing, or coincidence, yet it is merely alignment expressing itself. Alignment does not force events, it draws them. You cannot draw what you secretly doubt you deserve. Expectation and worth are intertwined. A man who believes blessings are rare will find them rare. A man who believes they are natural will encounter them naturally. This belief is not formed through argument. It is formed through repetition, accepted without resistance. That is why the quiet hour before sleep is so powerful. The mind is no longer defending its old opinions. It listens. Tonight, the mind listens to possibility instead of fear. This listening creates space. Space is required for new arrangements to form. A cluttered mind cannot receive. An open mind invites. I have often said that the greatest force available to man is not effort, but faith directed by understanding. Faith, when understood correctly, is not hope. It is expectation based on law. Law does not fail. The law governing thought and experience operates whether a man believes in it or not. The only question is whether he cooperates with it or opposes it unknowingly. Opposition often takes the form of worry. Worry is not preparation. It is sabotage disguised as responsibility. It instructs the subconscious to anticipate difficulty and then marvels when difficulty appears. Expectation, on the other hand, instructs the subconscious to anticipate benefit. The subconscious then arranges conduct, perception, and timing to fulfill that anticipation. This arrangement happens quietly, often during sleep. Men sometimes ask how miracles occur while they rest. The answer is simple. They occur because the mind is no longer interfering. Interference takes the form of doubt, fear, and insistence upon control. When these withdraw, order resumes its work. Order is patient. It does not rush. Yet when conditions are correct, it moves swiftly. Miracles appear swift because preparation has been slow and unseen. Tonight, preparation deepens. You are not demanding anything of life. Demand implies distrust. You are aligning yourself with the idea that favorable outcomes are possible, natural, and appropriate. This alignment does not strain the mind. It soothes it. As the body grows heavy and the breath slows, the deeper mind opens. This deeper mind does not analyze. It accepts. It accepts impressions as facts and then proceeds to express them through behavior and circumstance. Behavior shaped by expectation changes how others respond to you. Circumstance shaped by expectation changes what opportunities appear. These changes, when observed without understanding, are called miracles. To the prepared mind, they feel appropriate. Men who expect difficulty are often surprised by ease. Men who expect favor are seldom surprised by assistance. Assistance does not always arrive as rescue. Often it arrives as clarity, courage, or the sudden appearance of a choice not previously seen. These inner changes precede outer events. You are not attempting to force belief tonight. Forced belief fails. You are allowing expectation to soften and expand. Even a small shift is sufficient. The mind does not require certainty to begin. It requires permission. Permission is granted by rest. As you move further into rest, understand this clearly. Miracles do not violate law. They obey it more perfectly than ordinary events. The law responds to the dominant mental state. When that state is calm expectation, life responds accordingly. This response may take many forms. It may appear as unexpected information, an unplanned meeting, a resolved conflict, or a sudden opportunity. The form does not matter. The cause is the same. Expectation has changed. I have known men who awakened one morning with no visible change, yet whose entire demeanor had shifted. They moved differently. They spoke differently. Others sensed it. Within days, circumstances began rearranging themselves. The rearrangement did not begin that day. It began during quiet nights when the mind ceased resisting. This is what you are doing now. You are not trying to imagine miracles vividly. Vivid imagination is unnecessary. Calm assumption is enough. Assumption accepted by the subconscious becomes instruction. Instruction becomes conduct. Conduct becomes result. This sequence does not fail. Tonight, the instruction being accepted is simple. Favorable outcomes are possible. Assistance is available. Life may work with you rather than against you. This instruction does not shout. It settles. As it settles, tension releases. Released tension creates openness. Openness invites arrangement. The mind that opens at night awakens ready to notice, ready to respond, ready to receive. This readiness is the beginning of what men later call a miracle. Nothing more is required of you now. The work has begun. Rest in that knowledge. And allow the quiet hour to complete its task. When the mind has entered the quiet hour and resistance has softened, another law begins to operate with greater freedom. This law governs attraction, not in the sense of wish or desire alone, but in the deeper sense of alignment between inner expectation and outer event. Men often speak of chance when they witness this law at work, yet chance has no hand in it. The subconscious mind is the great receiving field of human experience. It does not originate thought, but it accepts instruction and gives it form. Whatever is impressed upon it consistently becomes a command it obeys faithfully. It does not judge the instruction. It does not measure its wisdom. It simply responds. Most men do not consciously instruct this deeper mind. Instead, they permit habit to do so. Habit speaks through repeated thoughts, especially those entertained when vigilance is low. Night after night, these thoughts settle, harden, and quietly shape what the man later calls his circumstances. A man who repeatedly expects disappointment will be surrounded by evidence of disappointment. He may attribute this to misfortune or injustice, never realizing that his own expectation instructed the deeper mind to search for confirming proof. The mind always finds what it has been told to look for. Expectation is not hope. Hope wavers. Expectation assumes. The subconscious responds to assumption with precision. This is why miracles do not respond to pleading. Pleading carries doubt. Doubt weakens instruction. The subconscious does not act upon what it senses is uncertain. It acts upon what feels settled. The quiet hour before sleep is when expectation becomes most settled. The conscious mind, which argues and questions, withdraws. The deeper mind listens without debate. In this state, even a gentle suggestion can outweigh years of effortful thinking. Men who appear to attract fortunate events often do so unconsciously. They were raised to expect favor. They absorbed confidence early. They did not rehearse fear nightly. Their deeper minds were trained without their knowledge. Others must train themselves deliberately. This training is not complex. It does not require imagination strained to vivid detail. It requires repetition of simple expectation, accepted calmly. The subconscious does not require grandeur. It requires consistency. I have observed men whose fortunes reversed seemingly overnight. Their friends called it luck. Their enemies called it unfair. Yet the men themselves often reported that the change felt natural, as though something long delayed had finally arrived. The delay was not in the event. It was in the expectation. When expectation changes, perception changes. When perception changes, opportunity appears where it was previously invisible. The same environment produces different results for different minds. Two men may walk the same street. One notices obstacles. The other notices openings. The street has not changed. The instruction within the mind has. The subconscious directs attention. Attention selects experience. Experience confirms belief. This cycle continues until interrupted. Tonight, interruption has begun. You are no longer instructing your deeper mind to anticipate difficulty. You are teaching it to remain open to favor. This openness alters what it attracts and how it arranges response. The subconscious operates continuously. It does not rest when the body sleeps. It organizes impressions, connects ideas, and prepares responses long before the conscious mind becomes aware of them. This preparation often reveals itself as sudden insight upon waking, an unplanned solution appearing without effort, or a meeting that occurs at just the right moment. Men call these events miraculous because they did not observe the preparation. Preparation occurred quietly during rest. I have known men who struggled for years to force results, only to achieve success after they stopped forcing and began expecting. Their effort had been misdirected. Once expectation aligned, effort became effective. Effort alone does not produce miracles. Effort guided by expectation does. Expectation is the blueprint. Effort is the labor. Without a blueprint, labor builds nothing of value. The subconscious holds the blueprint. This is why repetition matters. Repetition does not persuade the conscious mind. It instructs the deeper one. Each repetition strengthens the impression, not through excitement, but through familiarity. Familiar ideas feel true. The subconscious accepts what feels familiar as fact. Nightly fear feels familiar to many men. That is why it feels true. Nightly expectation can become just as familiar when practiced consistently. Men often abandon this practice too soon because they look for immediate signs. Signs follow instruction, not precede it. The deeper mind must first accept the new expectation fully. Acceptance reveals itself through calmness. When the mind is no longer anxious about outcome, acceptance has occurred. Calmness is evidence of alignment. You may notice calmness increasing without obvious cause. This is not indifference. It is trust forming beneath awareness. Trust alters magnetism. A man who trusts life walks differently. He speaks differently. Others respond differently. These responses create new opportunities that appear unearned, yet are the direct result of altered expectation. The subconscious also governs timing. It arranges events not only according to belief, but according to readiness. Readiness is not impatience. It is preparation without strain. Miracles often arrive when a man is no longer desperate for them. Desperation communicates lack. Expectation communicates readiness. Readiness draws opportunity. I have seen men receive assistance at the exact moment they ceased demanding it. This was not coincidence. Their demand had been blocking reception. You cannot receive with clenched hands. Expectation opens the hands. As you rest, your deeper mind is being instructed to remain open. This openness is subtle yet powerful. It removes resistance. It permits arrangement. Arrangement does not violate order. It expresses it. Men who do not understand this law often accuse life of favoritism. In truth, life responds impartially to expectation. It gives each man what his mind is prepared to accept. This truth is not harsh. It is liberating. It places responsibility where power exists. You are not helpless before circumstance. You are instructing it nightly. Even now, as you rest, instruction continues. The subconscious does not need complex commands. Simple assumptions repeated calmly are sufficient. The idea that good may arrive, that help is possible, that opportunity exists, is enough to begin rearrangement. Rearrangement may occur in ways you do not anticipate. The subconscious does not consult the conscious mind before acting. It follows the instruction it has accepted. This is why miracles often surprise the man who attracts them. Surprise does not mean randomness. It means preparation was unseen. As expectation settles, doubt weakens. Doubt weakens not because it is fought, but because it is no longer fed. Doubt requires attention to survive. Attention now rests elsewhere. The mind that expects favor does not ignore difficulty. It simply does not worship it. It treats difficulty as temporary and manageable. This treatment alters outcome. Men who expect difficulty tense themselves in advance. Tension distorts judgment. Distorted judgment creates error. Error confirms fear. Men who expect favor remain relaxed. Relaxation sharpens judgment. Sharp judgment invites success. Success confirms belief. The cycle reverses. You are reversing it now. As sleep deepens, the deeper mind accepts this reversal without protest. It is being trained to look for openings rather than barriers. Openings appear everywhere once attention shifts. Opportunities you once dismissed will now be noticed. Conversations you once avoided will now feel timely. Ideas you once doubted will now feel possible. These shifts begin internally. They express externally. This is the beginning of attraction. Not attraction through desire alone, but attraction through alignment. Alignment requires no strain. It is natural when resistance ends. You have ended resistance tonight by allowing the mind to rest in expectation. Nothing more is required. The subconscious continues its work quietly, efficiently, faithfully. And while you sleep, arrangements begin forming that will soon appear, to the untrained eye, as miracles. Rest now and allow the law to complete its work. Before a man can receive what he calls a miracle, something within him must be removed. This removal is rarely discussed because men prefer to think in terms of addition rather than subtraction. Yet no vessel can receive while it is already full, and no mind can accept favor while it remains occupied by fear. Fear is not a single thought. It is a habit of expectation repeated until it feels natural. It disguises itself as caution, as wisdom, as experience. Men tell themselves they are being realistic, when in truth they are rehearsing limitation. The subconscious does not recognize this disguise. It accepts the rehearsal as instruction. A man may speak of hope by day and still instruct his deeper mind to expect loss by night. The night instruction always prevails. What is repeated when resistance is low shapes destiny more powerfully than what is declared when resistance is high. Fear blocks miracles not because it angers any higher power, but because it closes the door of reception. A mind braced for harm cannot recognize help when it arrives. A mind expecting disappointment overlooks opportunity even when it stands directly before it. Many men believe fear protects them. They imagine that by anticipating the worst, they prepare themselves. In truth, Fear prepares only disappointment. It trains the subconscious to arrange proof of its own predictions. The first clearing, then, is the clearing of fearful expectation. This clearing does not require confrontation. Fear grows stronger when argued with. It fades when ignored. Tonight, fear is not being challenged. It is being replaced. Replacement is the only effective method of mental change. The deeper mind does not respond to negation. It does not understand do not fear. It responds only to what is affirmed. When expectation of favor is introduced consistently, fear loses its position without resistance. Another block that repels miracles is the habit of control. Men often believe they must manage every detail of life to remain safe. This belief creates tension. Tension interferes with intuition. Intuition is the voice through which guidance arrives. A man who insists upon control closes himself to assistance. Assistance implies trust. Control implies suspicion. The two cannot occupy the mind simultaneously. I have known men who prayed for opportunity, yet rejected it the moment it arrived, because it did not appear in the form they demanded. Their need for control blinded them to help. Miracles often arrive disguised as inconvenience, interruption, or unexpected change. Only the surrendered mind recognizes them. Surrender is not defeat. It is intelligent release. It is the decision to stop interfering with law. Law does not require supervision. It requires cooperation. When a man relaxes his grip on outcome, he does not become careless. He becomes receptive. Receptivity allows arrangement. Arrangement produces what men later call good fortune. Another inner block is unworthiness. Many men secretly believe they must earn blessing through suffering. They carry guilt without reason, imagining that ease must be undeserved. This belief repels miracles because it rejects reception. The subconscious cannot attract what it believes it does not deserve. Worthiness is not moral perfection. It is acceptance of one's right to receive. This acceptance must be installed quietly. Argument cannot establish it. Repetition can. Tonight, worthiness is not being debated. It is being assumed. Assumption instructs the deeper mind far more effectively than persuasion. A man who accepts worthiness behaves differently. He speaks with greater ease. He accepts opportunity without apology. Others sense this and respond accordingly. Another block is fixation on the past. Regret anchors expectation backward. The subconscious arranges experience based on where attention rests. Attention fixed on past error invites repetition. Attention shifted forward invites change. The past cannot be undone. It can only be released. Release does not require forgiveness rituals or emotional labor. It requires redirection of attention. The subconscious follows attention faithfully. Tonight, attention is being redirected. As the mind rests, old impressions surface briefly only to lose their grip. This surfacing is not failure. It is cleansing. The deeper mind brings forward what is ready to be dismissed. Do not engage these memories. Engagement feeds them. Indifference dissolves them. The clearing continues without effort. Men often block miracles by measuring possibility according to former experience. They assume that what has not happened before cannot happen now. This assumption is false. Experience is limited. Law is not. Many breakthroughs occur precisely because something happens that has never happened before. If experience were the measure of possibility, no invention would ever exist. Miracles do not consult precedent. Another block is constant explanation. Men who feel the need to explain themselves excessively often do so because they doubt their own authority. This doubt weakens expectation. Authority strengthens it. The subconscious responds to authority, not apology. As inner order returns, the need for explanation fades naturally. The man speaks plainly. He decides calmly. Others sense certainty. This certainty removes resistance from the environment. Environment responds to inner state. Another block is impatience. Impatience communicates mistrust in timing. Timing is governed by law. Law does not hurry, yet it is never late. Impatience instructs the subconscious that delay is dangerous. The subconscious responds by creating tension. Tension disrupts clarity. Disrupted clarity produces error. Patience restores clarity. Clarity invites correct action. Correct action produces results that appear sudden only because preparation was unseen. As impatience loosens its hold, expectation becomes steadier. Steady expectation is the foundation of attraction. Clearing these inner blocks does not happen all at once. It happens progressively, quietly, without announcement. Tonight, the process deepens. You are not required to identify every block. Identification keeps the conscious mind alert. Allowing keeps it receptive. The deeper mind knows what to release. It does not require instruction in this matter. As you rest, unnecessary defenses soften. Old habits of guarding relax. This relaxation signals safety. Safety permits change. Change that occurs in safety endures. Miracles are drawn to the mind that feels safe enough to receive them. The mind that constantly braces itself communicates danger. The mind that rests communicates readiness. Readiness is the true attractor. As readiness grows, your inner posture changes. You no longer lean forward anxiously into the future. You stand upright in the present. Standing upright changes perception. Perception changes choice. Choice changes outcome. These changes do not feel dramatic. They feel natural. Men often overlook natural miracles because they expect spectacle. They imagine thunder where there is only alignment. Alignment is quiet. As this clearing completes its work, the mind becomes simpler. Simplicity is strength. Complexity is confusion masquerading as intelligence. The simpler the expectation, the stronger its influence. Expectation now rests upon one simple assumption. Good may arrive. This assumption is enough. It does not deny difficulty. It simply refuses to worship it. The subconscious now reorganizes around this assumption. It begins arranging perception, timing, and conduct accordingly. This arrangement will soon express itself. For now, rest. The clearing continues without your effort, and the space created is where miracles will enter. When the inner obstacles have begun to dissolve, a new condition quietly establishes itself. This condition is often mistaken for hope, yet it is something far more powerful. Hope looks forward with longing. This condition looks forward with certainty. It does not strain. It does not plead. It simply expects. I have called this condition faith, yet the word has been misused so often that it has lost its precision. Faith, as I have observed it in the lives of men who achieve remarkable results, is not emotion. It is calm assumption, rooted in understanding of law. Emotion fluctuates. Faith endures. A man who possesses this calm expectation does not speak of it loudly. He does not attempt to persuade others. He does not require constant reassurance. He moves as though assistance were already present, and life responds accordingly. This response is not reward. It is correspondence. Life corresponds to expectation as faithfully as an echo corresponds to sound. The echo does not choose which sound to return. It returns whatever is given. When fear is given, fear returns. When calm expectation is given, opportunity returns. The quiet hour before sleep is where this expectation is most easily installed. During this hour, the conscious mind relaxes its arguments. It stops demanding evidence. It ceases to contradict instruction. What enters now settles deeply. I have observed that men who struggle with faith often struggle because they attempt to force belief while awake. They argue with themselves. They attempt to convince a resistant mind. This effort strengthens resistance. Faith cannot be forced. It must be accepted. Acceptance occurs most readily when the mind rests. This is why faith often appears strongest in those moments when effort has ceased. Men sometimes discover it after failure, after exhaustion, after surrender. In truth, it was always available. They simply stopped resisting it. Faith does not deny difficulty. It denies finality. It does not insist that events unfold easily. It assumes they will unfold favorably. Favor does not mean absence of challenge. It means presence of guidance. Guidance rarely announces itself loudly. It appears as a sense of timing, a quiet conviction, or a sudden clarity that cannot be fully explained. Men call this intuition. It is the deeper mind responding to accepted expectation. The deeper mind, once instructed by faith, begins to arrange conduct automatically. Decisions become simpler, hesitation diminishes. Action aligns more closely with opportunity. This alignment appears miraculous only to those who do not understand preparation. Men who operate without faith often exhaust themselves by overthinking. They analyze possibilities endlessly, fearing error. This fear delays action until opportunity passes. They then call themselves unlucky. Men who operate with calm expectation act when the moment appears. They do not debate excessively. They trust their judgment. Their action meets opportunity at precisely the right moment. This meeting is not chance. It is alignment. Faith also alters how others perceive a man. Others sense his certainty even if he never speaks of it. They respond with trust, cooperation, and openness. Doors open not because they are forced, but because resistance dissolves. I have seen men enter negotiations with no advantage except certainty, and leave with outcomes that astonish those who relied upon strategy alone. Their advantage was not cunning. It was faith expressed as calm authority. Authority does not shout, it steadies. A man who expects favor carries himself differently. His posture changes, his voice slows. His eyes no longer scan for threat. Others sense safety in his presence. Safety attracts opportunity. Opportunity avoids the anxious mind. Anxiety distorts judgment and signals instability. Calm expectation signals readiness. Faith also shortens the distance between intention and result. This occurs because doubt is removed. Doubt delays action. Action delayed misses alignment. Alignment missed produces disappointment. When doubt is absent, action is timely. Timeliness is often mistaken for luck. I have known men who received assistance at precisely the right moment and later wondered how events could have aligned so perfectly. The alignment was not sudden. It had been forming quietly through expectation. Faith instructs the subconscious to prepare for favorable outcome. Preparation alters perception. Perception recognizes opportunity. Opportunity seized produces result. This sequence does not vary. Men who lack faith often wait for certainty before acting. Certainty never arrives because action has not been taken. Faith acts first. Certainty follows. This principle has governed every achievement I have studied. The calmness of faith is important. Excited belief fluctuates. Calm belief persists. Persistence instructs the deeper mind more effectively than enthusiasm. Enthusiasm rises and falls. Expectation remains. As you rest, expectation settles more deeply. It does not require repetition shouted loudly. It requires repetition accepted gently. Gentle repetition imprints without resistance. The mind that accepts expectation does not constantly check for results. Checking introduces doubt. Doubt weakens instruction. Faith trusts law to respond in its own time. Time is governed by readiness, not impatience. Men often pray for miracles, yet secretly believe they are unlikely. This contradiction nullifies instruction. The deeper mind responds to belief, not to words spoken aloud. Tonight, belief is being trained quietly. You are not attempting to imagine miracles vividly. Vivid imagination is unnecessary. Calm assumption is enough. Assumption accepted becomes conviction. Conviction expressed becomes conduct. Conduct produces result. Faith also transforms the way a man interprets events. What once appeared as setback now appears as adjustment. What once appeared as loss now appears as redirection. This interpretation preserves confidence and prevents collapse. Men who collapse under difficulty often do so because they interpret events as verdicts. Men who endure interpret events as information. Faith transforms interpretation. Interpretation determines emotional response. Emotional response determines action. Action determines outcome. This chain operates continuously. Faith, then, is not a belief held apart from life. It is the lens through which life is viewed. A lens that expects favor will find it. As this lens settles into place, your reactions will change subtly. You may pause where you once rushed. You may decide where you once delayed. You may feel guided where you once guessed. These changes signal that faith has moved from thought into identity. Identity governs attraction. Men who attract miracles do not think of themselves as miraculous. They think of themselves as aligned. Alignment is humility expressed through confidence, confidence without arrogance, trust without passivity. This balance is rare only because few men permit themselves to rest long enough to accept it. Tonight, you have permitted it. As you continue to rest, faith continues its quiet work. It does not announce completion. It simply expresses itself when needed. Soon, events will begin responding. When they do, do not marvel excessively. Marvel invites disbelief. Accept calmly. Calm acceptance preserves alignment. Miracles treated as natural continue. Miracles treated as anomalies often disappear. You are learning to treat favor as appropriate. Appropriateness strengthens expectation. Expectation attracts response. The process is complete enough to continue without supervision. Rest now and allow faith to do what effort never could. The arrangement continues quietly, and what approaches you will soon feel less like a miracle and more like the natural response to a mind at rest. Before any event in the outer world can be called a miracle, a subtler miracle must occur within the man himself. This inner change is rarely dramatic. It does not announce itself with emotion or excitement. Instead, it reveals itself through a shift in how the man experiences life. The world appears the same, yet he moves through it differently. The first evidence of this inner miracle is ease. Not laziness, but ease. The man no longer feels as though life is something to be battled from morning until night. The constant tension that once accompanied every decision loosens its grip. He still acts, still chooses, still works, but without the burden of inner resistance. This ease is not the result of favorable events. It precedes them. It is the condition that allows them to appear. I have observed that men who attract what others call miracles often report feeling calmer before circumstances change. This calm is not indifference. It is assurance. Assurance that whatever arises can be met. Assurance that assistance is available. Assurance that effort will not be wasted. When this assurance settles, the nervous haste that once distorted judgment disappears. The mind becomes accurate. Accuracy is the foundation of success. Accuracy allows a man to see situations as they are, not as fear exaggerates them. He recognizes openings where he once saw barriers. He notices timing where he once felt delay. These recognitions alter action. Action taken from calm awareness is rarely wasted. The second evidence of inner change is altered perception of difficulty. Challenges no longer feel personal. They are not interpreted as signs of failure or punishment. They are simply conditions requiring response. This interpretation preserves confidence. Men who collapse under difficulty often do so because they attach meaning where none exists. They assume difficulty is a verdict. The man who has undergone inner change understands that difficulty is instruction. Instruction strengthens rather than weakens. This understanding alters behavior immediately. The man no longer rushes to escape difficulty. He addresses it calmly. Others sense this composure and respond with cooperation rather than resistance. Resistance dissolves around the man who does not resist life internally. The third evidence of inner miracle is restraint. The man speaks less. He explains less. He does not rush to defend his position. This restraint is not insecurity. It is confidence that no defense is required. Confidence that is silent carries more authority than confidence that insists upon recognition. Others respond to this authority instinctively. They listen more carefully. They offer assistance more readily. They trust more deeply. These responses create opportunities that appear spontaneous. Spontaneity is often mistaken for miracle. The inner miracle also reveals itself through patience. The man no longer feels compelled to hurry life along. He acts when action is required and rests when waiting is wise. This rhythm preserves energy. Energy preserved becomes available at critical moments. Men who exhaust themselves prematurely often miss opportunity because they lack strength when it arrives. The man who moves with rhythm meets opportunity prepared. Preparedness attracts success. As this inner change continues, the man's expectations shift subtly. He no longer expects disappointment as a default. He does not assume obstacles must arise. He remains open. Openness does not guarantee ease. It guarantees perception. Perception is the gateway to opportunity. I have known men who walked past opportunity for years because their perception was clouded by expectation of difficulty. Once expectation changed, the same environment yielded new results. The environment had not changed, the man had. This is why miracles often appear sudden. The conditions existed long before recognition occurred. Another evidence of inner miracle is gratitude without condition. The man no longer waits for results to feel grateful. Gratitude becomes a state rather than a response. Gratitude signals abundance to the deeper mind. It reinforces the expectation of favor. Favor responds accordingly. This is not flattery directed at life. It is recognition of order. Gratitude felt before evidence is faith in operation. As gratitude becomes habitual, dissatisfaction weakens. Dissatisfaction repels assistance because it communicates lack. Gratitude attracts assistance because it communicates readiness. Readiness is always rewarded by law. The inner miracle also changes how a man treats others. He no longer sees people as obstacles or tools. He sees them as fellow travelers. This shift invites cooperation. Cooperation multiplies effort. Men who attempt to force outcomes often create opposition. Men who proceed with respect often receive help without request. Help received without request is often labeled miraculous. The man whose inner life has changed also notices an improvement in judgment. He chooses better companions. He avoids unnecessary conflict. He invests his time more wisely. Time used wisely compounds opportunity. This wisdom is not learned through instruction alone. It emerges when fear no longer distorts perception. Fear magnifies threat. Calm magnifies possibility. As calm becomes habitual, the man's imagination begins to operate constructively rather than defensively. He imagines solutions rather than disasters. These imaginings instruct the subconscious. The subconscious then arranges response accordingly. This arrangement expresses itself as ideas arriving unforced, solutions appearing unexpectedly, and timing aligning without conscious manipulation. The man does not strain to produce these outcomes. They arrive as responses to alignment. Alignment is the miracle beneath all miracles. As outer events begin to respond, the man may be tempted to grow excited. Excitement is natural. Yet excessive excitement can disrupt alignment by reintroducing urgency. Urgency communicates fear of loss. Fear of loss instructs the subconscious to anticipate scarcity. Calm appreciation preserves flow. The man learns to accept favorable events without clinging to them. He receives without grasping. This posture allows continuity. Continuity transforms isolated miracles into a way of life. A man who clings to results often loses them. A man who remains aligned continues to receive. As this understanding deepens, the man's identity stabilizes. He no longer sees himself as fortunate one day and unlucky the next. He sees himself as governed by law. Law does not fluctuate. This realization removes emotional extremes. The man remains steady whether events rise or fall. This steadiness protects progress. Others describe such men as balanced, reliable, and fortunate. They may not understand the source of this fortune, but they recognize its presence. Recognition invites opportunity. I have observed that men who reach this stage often experience a series of favorable events in close succession. These events are not separate miracles. They are expressions of one condition finally established. The condition is expectation aligned with law. As you rest, this condition continues to strengthen. It does not require attention. It requires allowance. Allowance is being given now. Soon, the outer world will begin reflecting this inner arrangement more visibly. When it does, remember this: do not strain to maintain it. Strain disrupts what ease has created. Simply continue resting in expectation. The inner miracle has already begun. The outer miracles will follow naturally. For now, remain still. The arrangement continues. And what unfolds will feel less like a sudden gift and more like the rightful response to a mind finally at rest. As the inner condition continues to stabilize, a transformation takes place that few men recognize while it is happening. This transformation is not emotional. It is not dramatic. It is an alteration of identity so subtle that it feels as though nothing has changed, yet everything responds differently. The man has not declared himself new, but life begins to treat him as such. Identity is not what a man says about himself. It is what he quietly assumes when no one is watching. These assumptions govern posture, tone, patience, and decision. When expectation of favor becomes natural, identity shifts from one who waits for disappointment to one who anticipates alignment. Others sense this shift immediately. They may not be able to name it, yet they feel it. The man no longer approaches conversation with hesitation. He does not overstate his case. He listens without defensiveness. He speaks without hurry. These small signals communicate certainty more clearly than words ever could. Certainty invites trust. Trust invites cooperation. Cooperation opens doors. I have observed that men who attract what others call miracles are often described as fortunate or favored. Yet what is truly being observed is consistency of inner order. Life responds to order as naturally as water responds to gravity. The man whose identity is anchored in calm expectation behaves predictably under pressure. He does not collapse. He does not lash out. He does not retreat unnecessarily. Others instinctively trust such men with responsibility. Responsibility is often the doorway through which opportunity enters. A man who expects miracles does not demand them. He does not announce them. He simply lives as though help is available and outcomes may favor him. This posture removes strain from interaction. Strain creates resistance. Resistance repels opportunity. As strain dissolves, relationships adjust. Some relationships strengthen because they were built on respect. Others fade because they were built on need or uncertainty. This adjustment is not loss, it is alignment. Alignment always reorganizes environment to match inner state. Men often fear losing people when they change. In truth, they lose only those who depended upon their former doubt. What remains is stronger. The man who has undergone this identity shift also notices that he no longer seeks permission. He does not ask inwardly whether he may act. He acts when action is appropriate. This decisiveness is not forceful. It is calm. Calm decisiveness commands respect. Others respond to it by offering support rather than challenge. This is why men who expect miracles often find that obstacles soften before they must be confronted. Opposition senses confidence and withdraws. This withdrawal is not fear, it is recognition. Recognition of certainty. The man's voice changes as well, not in volume but in rhythm. He speaks more slowly. He chooses words carefully. He no longer rushes to fill silence. Silence becomes an ally rather than an enemy. Silence allows others to reveal themselves. Revealed information becomes advantage. Advantage used wisely produces success. I have known men whose careers advanced rapidly not because they worked longer hours, but because their presence commanded confidence. Others wanted them involved. Others sought their opinion. Others trusted their judgment. Judgment is sharpened when fear no longer clouds it. The man who expects miracles does not gamble. He chooses. Choice informed by clarity is rarely wrong. Others describe such men as lucky, unaware that luck is often clarity combined with timing. Timing improves when the mind is calm. Calm allows awareness. Awareness recognizes opportunity. Opportunity recognized becomes result. This identity also alters how the man carries himself in moments of uncertainty. Where others panic, he pauses. Where others complain, he observes. Where others react, he responds. Response always outperforms reaction. This distinction alone explains many so-called miracles. The man who responds rather than reacts preserves control of outcome. Reaction hands control to circumstance. Response maintains authority. Authority invites favor. The man's expectations now govern his interpretation of events. When delay occurs, he does not assume failure. He assumes preparation. This assumption preserves confidence and prevents collapse. Confidence preserved allows endurance. Endurance attracts opportunity because it signals reliability. Life trusts the reliable. Others sense reliability and move closer. Opportunities are offered, not chased. I have watched men who once struggled to be noticed suddenly find themselves sought after. Nothing external had changed. Their identity had. Identity directs magnetism. The man no longer tries to appear important. Importance appears through his conduct. He arrives prepared. He leaves without fuss. He fulfills commitments without complaint. These qualities attract respect without demand. Respect multiplies influence. Influence invites access. Access opens pathways previously closed. These pathways appear. Miraculous only to those who did not witness the identity forming. As identity continues to solidify, the man also becomes less attached to outcome. This detachment is not indifference. It is trust. Trust removes desperation. Desperation repels assistance. Trust invites it. The man can now pursue aims without anxiety. Anxiety once distorted effort. Without it, effort becomes effective. Effective effort compounds results. Compounded results appear sudden. This is the pattern observed in nearly every life that seems to turn around. The turnaround is not sudden. Recognition is. Others will often comment that everything seems to work out for such a man. They do not see the countless moments of calm choice that created this appearance. Miracles are not singular events. They are patterns of alignment recognized late. The man who lives in alignment no longer waits for miracles. He expects favorable outcomes as law. This expectation stabilizes his identity permanently. Permanent identity produces permanent results. As you rest, this identity continues to take shape beneath awareness. You do not need to supervise it. Supervision introduces doubt. Allowance strengthens formation. Soon, the man you are becoming will feel familiar. Your former uncertainty will feel foreign. That is the true sign of transformation. Nothing further is required. The identity has begun to establish itself, and life will continue to respond accordingly. When expectation and identity are finally brought into harmony, a curious change takes place in the way time itself appears to behave. Events that once required long waiting periods begin to unfold more swiftly. Matters that lingered unresolved for months or years suddenly find resolution. Men often describe this as fortune arriving all at once, never realizing that time has not changed, only resistance has. Delay is rarely caused by circumstance alone. More often, it is caused by hesitation within the mind. Hesitation interrupts momentum. Momentum depends upon decisiveness. When decisiveness is restored through inner certainty, movement accelerates. I have observed that men who expect miracles rarely feel pressed by time. They do not hurry life, yet life appears to hurry toward them. This paradox exists because calm expectation removes friction. Friction slows progress. Ease allows movement. The subconscious governs not only attraction, but timing. It arranges events to coincide with readiness rather than desire. Desire alone demands, readiness invites. When readiness is present, events line up with precision. A conversation occurs at the right moment. A decision is made just before circumstances shift. Assistance appears when it can be used most effectively. These alignments are often called miracles because they appear too exact to be accidental. Exactness is the signature of law. Men who live in fear stretch time unnecessarily. They delay decisions. They rehearse consequences. They postpone action. Time then appears slow and burdensome. Opportunity passes unnoticed. Men who live in calm expectation act when the moment appears. They do not debate endlessly. Their action meets opportunity precisely. Time seems to cooperate. Cooperation is not coincidence. As identity stabilizes, the mind no longer scatters energy across many possibilities. It focuses. Focus concentrates power. Concentrated power produces swift results. This focus is not forced. It emerges naturally once fear is removed. Fear fragments attention. Calm unifies it. Unified attention shortens the distance between intention and result. I have known men who struggled for years to achieve progress in one direction, only to find rapid success once they abandoned fear of error. Their fear had been delaying action. Once removed, action flowed, and results followed quickly. These men often expressed surprise at the speed with which events unfolded. Yet the speed was merely the release of long-standing obstruction. Obstruction dissolves when expectation changes. Another cause of delay is attachment to outcome. Men who cling tightly to specific results often slow their arrival. Attachment introduces tension. Tension disrupts clarity. Disrupted clarity produces misstep. Detachment restores clarity. Detachment does not mean lack of desire. It means trust in process. Trust allows the subconscious to arrange timing without interference. The man who trusts timing no longer watches the clock anxiously. He moves forward steadily. Life responds by presenting opportunities in rapid succession. This succession is often overwhelming to those unprepared. Yet the man whose identity is aligned meets it calmly. Calm preserves accuracy even under speed. Speed without accuracy produces failure. Speed with accuracy produces what men call breakthroughs. Breakthroughs often appear sudden only because preparation occurred quietly. I have studied the lives of men whose fortunes changed seemingly overnight. In each case, the inner shift preceded the outer acceleration. The man stopped doubting himself. He stopped delaying decision. He stopped resisting opportunity. Once resistance ended, movement began. Time responds to resistance like water responds to obstruction. Remove the obstruction, and flow resumes naturally. As this principle settles within you, you may notice impatience weakening. You no longer feel compelled to rush outcomes. This relaxed attitude paradoxically accelerates results. Acceleration through ease rather than force is one of the least understood laws of achievement. Men who push time often meet resistance. Men who cooperate with time experience flow. Flow appears miraculous only to those accustomed to strain. Another effect of alignment is the collapse of unnecessary steps. Solutions appear simpler. Paths shorten. Complications dissolve. This collapse of steps creates the impression that events have skipped stages. In truth, unnecessary stages were removed. The subconscious excels at simplification once fear no longer complicates instruction. Complication is born of doubt. Simplicity is born of trust. Trust allows the deeper mind to select the most direct route. Direct routes feel sudden. Men often call these moments right place, right time. They were prepared long before arrival. Preparation occurs nightly when expectation is reinforced. As nights accumulate, readiness deepens. Readiness attracts opportunity. Opportunity acted upon swiftly produces result. This cycle accelerates naturally. Acceleration does not exhaust the aligned man. It energizes him. Energy returns because effort is no longer wasted. Wasted effort drains strength. Directed effort restores it. The man now feels that he has more time rather than less. He accomplishes more without haste. Others remark upon his ease. Ease is a sign of mastery. Mastery is not control. It is harmony. Harmony with law allows time to serve rather than oppose. As you rest, this harmony continues to establish itself. The subconscious reorganizes priorities, clarifies direction, and prepares responses that will soon express themselves as swift movement. Do not be surprised if events begin to unfold rapidly after a period of seeming stillness. Stillness precedes movement. It always has. Nature rests before growth. Night precedes day. The quiet hour prepares the active one. You are in preparation now. Soon, movement will follow. And when it does, it will feel timely rather than rushed. Rest now. Time itself is aligning in your favor. When men speak of miracles as rare events, they reveal that they have not yet understood the power of repetition. Nothing extraordinary becomes lasting through a single occurrence. What endures is what is impressed repeatedly until it feels natural. The law that governs habit governs miracles as well. Repetition is not redundancy, it is instruction. The subconscious does not respond to novelty, it responds to familiarity. What is familiar feels true. What feels true becomes expectation. What is expected is experienced. Most men repeat fear nightly without realizing it. They rehearse loss, disappointment, and struggle until these states feel normal. When normality is built upon fear, miracles appear abnormal and are quickly dismissed. Tonight, repetition is being reclaimed for its proper use. Expectation of favor, when repeated calmly, becomes the mind's resting position. Once this position is established, the extraordinary no longer feels surprising. It feels appropriate. Men often abandon repetition because they mistake it for effort. True repetition is gentle. It does not demand attention. It settles quietly into the deeper mind. I have observed that men who achieve remarkable results rarely speak of motivation. Motivation fluctuates. Habit endures. Habit is born of repetition. The repetition of calm expectation creates a habit of readiness. Readiness attracts opportunity without strain. This is why nightly instruction matters more than occasional inspiration. Inspiration excites the surface mind. Repetition instructs the deeper one. A man may hear a powerful idea once and feel uplifted, yet return to old habits by morning. Another man may hear the same idea repeatedly without excitement, yet find his conduct changing steadily. The second man will produce results. Results follow habit. Habit follows repetition. Repetition requires patience. Patience communicates trust. Trust strengthens instruction. Men who hurry repetition often disrupt its effect by introducing doubt. Doubt questions whether repetition is working. Questioning weakens impression. Impression deepens when repetition is accepted without analysis. As you rest, repetition is occurring naturally. The words you hear are not meant to be examined. They are meant to be absorbed. Absorption occurs when resistance is absent, night after night. This absorption builds familiarity with expectation of favor. Favor then becomes the subconscious standard. Standards govern behavior. Behavior governed by favor produces outcomes that appear miraculous only to those unfamiliar with the standard. I have known men who transformed their business standard. Fortunes not by changing what they wanted, but by changing what they expected nightly. Over time, their expectations reshaped their conduct so thoroughly that opportunity could not avoid them. Opportunity seeks readiness. Readiness is reinforced through repetition. Repetition also removes doubt gently. Doubt fades not because it is argued against, but because it is crowded out. When expectation of favor occupies the mind consistently, doubt finds no place to settle. This is why repetition must be calm rather than forceful. Force invites opposition. Calm acceptance invites alignment. Alignment requires no argument. Men who resist repetition often do so because they expect instant proof. Proof arrives only after instruction has been accepted fully. Instruction is accepted through familiarity. Familiarity takes time. Time invested nightly compounds quietly. Compounding is the secret of all great accumulation, whether of wealth, confidence, or favor. Each night of repetition adds to the foundation. The foundation may not be visible, yet it supports everything built upon it. Miracles that endure are supported by deep foundations. Shallow belief produces fleeting results. Deep expectation produces continuity. Continuity transforms isolated miracles into a way of life. A man who lives this way no longer waits for extraordinary events. He expects favorable outcomes as the normal response to alignment. Others may marvel at his good fortune. He simply proceeds. Proceeding without doubt is the fruit of repetition. As repetition continues, the mind no longer distinguishes between ordinary and extraordinary outcomes. Both are accepted as expressions of law. This acceptance stabilizes confidence. Confidence stabilizes conduct. Conduct stabilizes results. The repetition also strengthens the man's patience with himself. He no longer condemns temporary setbacks. He recognizes them as adjustments rather than failures. This recognition preserves momentum. Momentum sustained over time creates acceleration. Acceleration combined with steadiness produces what men call destiny. Destiny is not fixed. It is trained. Training occurs nightly through repetition. You are training now. Each time you listen, the expectation of favor becomes more familiar. Familiarity becomes belief. Belief becomes behavior. Behavior produces result. The process is simple because law is simple. Complexity arises only when men resist. Resistance has been reduced tonight. As repetition continues, expectation settles into identity. Identity no longer requires instruction. It expresses itself automatically. Automatic expression is mastery. The master does not struggle to perform. He performs naturally. Natural performance appears miraculous to the untrained observer. As you continue resting, repetition is doing its work quietly and efficiently. You need not monitor it. Monitoring introduces doubt. Trust repetition. Trust law. Soon, expectation of favor will feel as natural as breathing. When that occurs, miracles will no longer feel miraculous. They will feel inevitable. Rest now. The instruction continues, and the extraordinary is becoming familiar. When the night has completed its quiet instruction and the mind begins to stir toward wakefulness, the effects of alignment first reveal themselves in subtle ways. The man does not awaken to sudden revelation or dramatic certainty. He awakens to a feeling that something has shifted, though he may not yet know what. The morning greets him differently. Where once the day announced itself with pressure, it now arrives with calm. The mind does not immediately rush toward unfinished concerns. It pauses. This pause is the space in which choice has returned. Choice is the beginning of mastery. The man notices that his first thoughts are no longer rehearsals of difficulty. They are neutral, sometimes even expectant. This change alone alters the course of the day. A day governed by expectation unfolds differently from one governed by fear. The body responds as well. Movements feel less hurried. The breath flows more freely. Tension that once accompanied waking has loosened. This physical ease mirrors the inner order established during rest. Ease sharpens perception. Perception recognizes opportunity. Opportunity recognized early becomes advantage. As the man enters his day, he finds that decisions require less effort. He does not debate endlessly. He senses what is appropriate and acts accordingly. This is not recklessness, it is clarity. Clarity is the fruit of alignment. Men often believe clarity must be achieved through analysis. In truth, analysis often obscures clarity. Clarity arises when fear no longer interrupts judgment. Judgment guided by calm expectation is accurate. Accurate judgment produces efficient action. Efficiency creates progress that appears swift. As the hours pass, The man encounters situations that once unsettled him. He observes his response with quiet surprise. He remains composed. He listens. He responds deliberately. Others sense this composure and adjust accordingly. Conversations become smoother. Resistance diminishes. Cooperation increases. These small adjustments accumulate. Accumulation produces momentum. Momentum creates what men call a good day. A good day is often the first outward sign of inner change. Men dismiss good days as coincidence, never realizing they are the earliest form of miracle. A miracle does not announce itself as such. It begins as ease, where difficulty once ruled. The man also notices that information reaches him at the right moment. He hears something useful in passing. He receives a message that clarifies a decision. He stumbles upon an idea that fits perfectly. These events feel timely. Timeliness is not chance, it is alignment. Alignment causes attention to notice what is relevant and ignore what is not. This selectivity conserves energy and directs effort effectively. Directed effort produces results. Results confirm expectation. Confirmation strengthens belief. The cycle reinforces itself. As belief strengthens, confidence deepens. Confidence does not express itself as boldness or display. It expresses itself as steadiness. Steadiness invites trust. Trust invites responsibility. Responsibility opens doors. The man may not immediately recognize these doors as miracles. They appear ordinary. A conversation, a request, an opportunity to contribute. Yet these ordinary events carry extraordinary consequence. Consequences compound. Compounding transforms modest beginnings into significant outcomes. This is why miracles often appear in hindsight rather than in the moment. The man later looks back and realizes that a simple day marked the beginning of great change. The change was not sudden. Recognition was. As the day continues, the man also notices that problems soften before they require confrontation. What once felt like obstacles now feel like tasks. Tasks can be completed. Obstacles intimidate. This change in interpretation preserves confidence. Confidence preserved maintains momentum. The man no longer expends energy worrying about what might go wrong. He directs energy toward what can be done. This shift alone alters outcome dramatically. Others observing him may remark that he seems fortunate. They may comment that things work out for him. They are witnessing alignment without understanding it. Understanding is not required for results. As days repeat this pattern, expectation stabilizes further. The man begins to trust that favorable days are not exceptions. They are expressions of law. This trust eliminates anxiety about tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes an extension of alignment rather than a threat. Threat perception drains strength. Alignment restores it. Restored strength improves endurance. Endurance allows consistency. Consistency multiplies success. The man also becomes more attentive to his inner state. He recognizes that when he remains calm, outcomes improve. When he grows anxious, friction returns. This awareness encourages self-regulation. Self-regulation preserves alignment. Alignment preserves favor. As nights and mornings alternate, the cycle strengthens. Night instruction shapes day conduct. Day conduct confirms night instruction. This harmony between night and day accelerates progress. Acceleration does not exhaust the man, it energizes him. Energy returns because effort is no longer wasted resisting life. Wasted effort produces fatigue. Directed effort produces fulfillment. Fulfillment is not excitement. It is satisfaction. Satisfaction stabilizes identity. Identity stabilized attracts continuity of favorable outcome. Soon the man notices that what once seemed miraculous now feels ordinary. Favor becomes familiar. Assistance feels natural. Opportunity appears expected. This familiarity is the goal. Miracles that feel ordinary continue. Miracles that feel shocking often do not. The man has crossed a threshold without ceremony. He does not announce it. He lives it. Each morning confirms alignment. Each day reinforces expectation. Each night deepens instruction. The cycle sustains itself. As you rest now, this cycle continues quietly. The next morning will greet you differently, not because the world has changed, but because you have. And that change will continue to express itself through days that unfold with increasing ease, clarity, and timely outcome. Rest now. The morning is already preparing to meet you. When a man has lived long enough in alignment, something remarkable yet understated occurs. He no longer thinks of miracles as interruptions to life. He recognizes them as expressions of order. What once seemed extraordinary now feels appropriate, even inevitable. This recognition marks the completion of a transformation that began quietly, without announcement, during the hours of rest. The man no longer asks whether miracles will come. He asks only how he will respond when they do. This shift in question reveals that expectation has moved from thought into identity. Identity does not argue, it acts. Men who reach this state do not lose humility. They lose doubt. Humility remains because they recognize that favor flows through law rather than ego. Doubt vanishes because law has proven itself repeatedly. Repeated evidence produces certainty. Certainty stabilizes conduct. Conduct sustains results. This is the final movement of alignment. The man no longer divides life into ordinary days and extraordinary ones. He understands that order governs all days equally. Some days reveal results more visibly than others, but all days are shaped by the same inner condition. This understanding removes disappointment. Disappointment arises when expectation is inconsistent. Consistent expectation produces steady confidence. Steady confidence allows patience. Patience allows endurance. Endurance allows mastery. Mastery does not announce itself. It reveals itself through quiet authority. The man speaks less about what he expects and more through how he lives. Others sense his steadiness and respond accordingly. Response follows presence. Presence follows identity. Identity follows expectation. Expectation has now been trained. This man no longer fears loss as he once did. Loss no longer threatens his sense of order. He knows that alignment cannot be taken from him by circumstance. He may lose possessions, positions, or plans, but he does not lose certainty. Certainty is not attached to outcome. It is attached to law. Law remains regardless of condition. This knowledge frees the man from desperation. Desperation repels opportunity. Freedom attracts it. Others notice that such men are difficult to discourage. They are not immune to challenge, but they are immune to collapse. They adjust rather than retreat. They learn rather than surrender. Learning preserves progress. Progress compounds. Compounding transforms lives quietly. Men often ask how long this state lasts. The answer is simple. It lasts as long as alignment is respected. Alignment is maintained not through vigilance, but through habit. Habit is reinforced nightly. The quiet hour remains sacred, not because it is dramatic, but because it is effective. The man continues to use this hour wisely, not always consciously, but instinctively. His mind no longer seeks fear in the dark. It rests in expectation. Expectation rests easily now. Ease is the sign of permanence. Nothing permanent requires strain to maintain. Strain indicates misalignment. The man recognizes misalignment quickly now. He feels it as tension or impatience. When he senses it, he does not condemn himself. He simply returns to rest. Rest restores alignment. Alignment restores flow. Flow produces result. This simplicity is the final gift of understanding. The man no longer complicates success. He no longer seeks elaborate methods. He respects law and cooperates with it. Cooperation outperforms force. Force exhausts. Cooperation renews. This renewal is visible in his endurance. He does not burn brightly and fade. He progresses steadily and remains effective. Steady progress outlasts sudden gain. Outlasting produces legacy. Legacy is not fame, it is influence. Influence expressed through character changes lives quietly. Others who encounter such a man often leave with a sense of possibility they cannot explain. They feel steadier, they feel encouraged, they feel capable. This influence is the highest expression of alignment. The man does not attempt to convert others, he embodies possibility. Embodiment persuades more deeply than argument. Argument invites resistance. Example invites imitation. Imitation spreads alignment. Thus, miracles do not end with the man. They extend through him. This extension gives life meaning beyond personal gain. Meaning deepens satisfaction. Satisfaction removes restlessness. Restlessness is the enemy of peace. Peace is not passivity. It is confidence without urgency. Urgency once drove the man. Now direction guides him. Direction simplifies choice. Choice directs effort. Effort produces outcome. Outcome confirms alignment. The cycle completes itself. The man no longer waits for signs. He no longer searches for proof. He proceeds with assurance. Assurance allows courage. Courage invites opportunity. Opportunity rewards preparedness. Preparedness has been cultivated, night by night, thought by thought, expectation by expectation. The title of miracle no longer matters. The experience does. Experience governed by law feels natural. Natural outcomes endure. The man now understands that miracles were never outside him. They were responses, waiting for alignment. Alignment has been restored. The quiet hour has done its work. Nothing more needs to be added. Nothing needs to be forced. Life will continue responding as it always has to. Expectation, to identity, to law. You may rest now with this certainty settled deeply within you. You are prepared. You are aligned. You are receptive. You are steady. What moves toward you now will not surprise you. It will feel appropriate. Sleep now and rise into a life where miracles are no longer rare, but expected. The work you have allowed to unfold within you does not end with words. Words merely point the mind toward a state. Once that state is entered, words may withdraw. What remains is knowing. Knowing does not argue. It does not hurry. It rests. You will not need to remember everything that has been said. Memory is not the keeper of law. Law operates whether remembered or forgotten. You will know the change by how you move, by how you choose, by how little effort it takes to remain steady when once you would have wavered. Men often believe that transformation must be protected with vigilance. In truth, what is established through alignment protects itself. You do not guard gravity for it to function. You do not supervise the sunrise for it to appear. Law sustains itself when respected. Respect is shown through cooperation, not through fear of loss. If, in the days ahead, you notice moments of doubt returning, do not interpret this as failure. Doubt is a habit of the former self, and habits fade gradually when no longer fed. You need not confront doubt. Simply do not obey it. Obedience gives it life. Indifference starves it. You are no longer required to prove that life will work with you. Proof has already been given, though it may not yet be visible in form. Inner certainty always precedes outer evidence. To demand evidence first is to misunderstand the order of creation. Creation begins inwardly. What you have done is not to ask life for favors, but to remove the inner conditions that made favor impossible. Life has not changed its nature. You have changed your position within it. Position determines perspective. Perspective determines choice. Choice determines outcome. These truths do not expire. You may find that people speak of you differently now. They may say you seem calmer, clearer, more fortunate. Do not correct them. Explanation weakens mystery, and mystery strengthens influence. Let results speak in their own language. The man who expects miracles does not chase them. He prepares himself to receive them. Preparation is quiet. It does not announce itself. It is felt. You will feel it when you no longer brace yourself against tomorrow. You will feel it when opportunity does not startle you. You will feel it when good arrives, and you accept it without disbelief. Disbelief is the final gate that closes to many men. You have opened it. From this point forward, your responsibility is simple. Do not return to the habit of mental resistance. When the mind tightens, rest it. When fear whispers, soften. When impatience arises, pause. Pause restores order faster than effort ever could. Night after night, the deeper mind will continue what has begun. You do not need to repeat everything consciously. The rhythm has been set. The pattern has been impressed. What has been planted will grow according to law. Growth may appear slow at times. Do not misjudge it. Roots grow unseen before fruit appears. Those who dig up the seed to check its progress destroy what they hope to see. Leave it undisturbed. You are no longer a man waiting for life to change. You are a man aligned with how life changes. That distinction alters everything. Rest now, without anticipation. Sleep without guarding yourself. Wake without bracing yourself. The law is active. The order is set. And what comes next will come not because you forced it, but because you were finally ready to receive it. Sleep now and allow the alignment to continue. Now that the mind has traveled far enough inward to recognize its own stillness, there is nothing more that must be explained. Explanation belongs to uncertainty. What has taken root within you now belongs to knowing. Knowing does not require reinforcement. It reveals itself through conduct. Men often believe the end of instruction should feel conclusive, yet the truest endings feel quiet. They feel like arrival rather than triumph. Arrival does not shout, it settles. And when a man has settled inwardly, the outer world begins to rearrange itself without command. You are not leaving this moment with something fragile. You are leaving it with something ordered. Order is the opposite of chaos, but it is not rigidity. It is balance. Balance allows movement without collapse. Balance allows growth without strain. Balance is the condition under which life gives more than it takes. You have been restored to balance. This does not mean you will never feel doubt again. It means doubt will no longer govern you. It may pass through your awareness as clouds pass through the sky, but it will no longer darken the whole horizon. You will recognize it for what it is, a habit that no longer commands obedience. Obedience is the key word. Men are not defeated by thoughts. They are defeated by the thoughts they obey. You will obey fewer thoughts now. You will question less and trust more, not blindly, but calmly. Calm trust is not naivete. It is wisdom earned through alignment with law. Law has proven itself to you, even if you have not yet seen all of its effects. Effects follow causes in proper order. The causes have been established. What you may notice first is not a sudden change in circumstance, but a reduction of inner noise. This quiet is not emptiness. It is space. Space allows direction. Direction allows momentum. Momentum produces outcome. Outcome is the last thing to arrive, yet men often demand it first. You no longer need to demand. Demand signals fear of absence. Expectation signals readiness. Readiness is now your natural state. You may find that you begin choosing differently without effort. You will walk away from what drains you without justification. You will move toward what strengthens you without persuasion. This is not discipline imposed from above. It is alignment expressing itself from within. Alignment simplifies life. Simplicity does not make life small. It makes it precise. A precise life wastes little energy. Energy saved becomes energy available. Energy available attracts opportunity, because opportunity requires capacity. Life does not give abundance to those already exhausted. It gives abundance to those prepared to carry it. You are being prepared. This preparation will not always feel dramatic. Often it will feel ordinary. You will wonder whether anything significant is happening. This wondering is a sign that something significant is happening beneath the surface. Growth does not announce itself while it is occurring. It announces itself later through results. Do not interrupt the process by watching it too closely. Men who stare at the soil do not help the seed grow. Allow the days to unfold naturally. Let your nights remain quiet. The rhythm between the two will sustain what has begun. There will be moments when you are tempted to return to old habits of urgency, of explanation, of rehearsal, of fear. When this happens, do not fight yourself. Fighting creates division. Division weakens order. Instead, return to stillness. Stillness does not erase problems. It places them in proper proportion. Proportion restores judgment. Judgment restores confidence. Confidence expressed quietly is more powerful than confidence declared loudly. Others will notice this in you. They may not comment on it, but they will respond to it. Response is the true measure of influence. Influence is not control, it is presence. Presence is not effort. It is alignment. The man who lives in alignment does not attempt to persuade life. He cooperates with it. Cooperation invites support. Support multiplies effect. You will find that when you stop insisting upon specific outcomes, better outcomes appear. This is not contradiction, it is refinement. Insistence narrows possibility. Expectation widens it. Widened possibility allows law to operate freely. Law operates best when unchallenged. You have stopped challenging it. This does not make you passive. It makes you effective. Effectiveness will reveal itself through results that feel timely rather than forced. Assistance will arrive without pleading. Solutions will appear without struggle. These events will feel appropriate, not miraculous. And that is how miracles become permanent. What is treated as rare remains rare. What is treated as natural continues. You will no longer measure your progress by comparison. Comparison is the habit of the uncertain. Certainty removes the need for it. You will measure progress by alignment, by how steady you remain when outcomes are unknown. Unknown outcomes no longer threaten you. Threat belongs to the man who believes he stands alone. You no longer believe this. You may not define your belief in words, but you will live it in action. Living belief is stronger than declared belief. As years pass, you may forget when this change occurred. You may not remember these words at all. That forgetting will be the greatest proof that the work succeeded. The most effective teachings disappear into character. Character governs destiny more faithfully than intention ever could. Your character has been quietly reorganized. This reorganization does not require your supervision. It requires only your respect. Respect is shown by not returning to unnecessary resistance. Resistance always begins in the mind. When the mind tightens, soften it. When the mind rushes, slow it. When the mind fears, remind it without argument that law has already responded. You will learn to trust this reminder because experience will confirm it. Experience is the final teacher. Soon enough, you will look back and recognize a chain of events that could not have occurred had you remained as you were. You will see how small decisions led to large consequences, how quiet nights led to active days, how expectation reshaped outcome. You will not call this luck. You will know better, and that knowing will steady you further. You have not reached the end of effort. You have reached the end of struggle. Effort will continue, but it will be directed. Direction preserves strength. Strength used wisely creates freedom. Freedom is not escape. It is self-command. Self-command is the highest form of power. Power that does not need to prove itself remains intact. This is the power you now carry. You may rest without fear of losing it. Loss occurs only when men abandon alignment for impatience. Patience will now feel natural to you. Patience is not waiting. It is confidence in timing. Timing belongs to law. Law has not failed you. It was merely waiting for permission. You have given it. Nothing more is required. Sleep now with ease. Wake with certainty. Proceed with calm assurance. The order remains. The alignment holds. And life will continue responding quietly, steadily, faithfully. Now the mind has reached a point where effort would only interfere. When a man has absorbed enough truth to alter his inner posture, the wisest action is to become still and allow life to respond. Response always follows readiness. It cannot be hurried, but it also cannot be denied once the conditions are right. You are no longer arranging your life by force of will. You are allowing it to organize itself around a new center. That center is not excitement. It is not urgency. It is quiet assurance. Quiet assurance is stronger than enthusiasm because it does not depend upon feeling. It depends upon alignment. Alignment, once established, does not drift away easily. Drift belongs to uncertainty. Certainty anchors itself. You may notice that the need to think constantly about your future has weakened. This is not neglect. It is trust. Trust frees the mind from unnecessary labor. When the mind is freed, it becomes more accurate, not less. Accuracy produces right action at the right moment. Right action taken at the right moment appears miraculous to those who act from fear. They see results without seeing preparation. They witness harvest without having observed the planting. You have been planting quietly. Planting does not feel dramatic. It feels ordinary. That is why most men overlook it. They are waiting for something to feel powerful before they believe it matters. In truth, the most powerful forces operate without sensation. Gravity does not announce itself. Growth does not announce itself. Order does not announce itself. It simply functions. Your inner world has begun functioning differently. You may discover that your reactions are slower, but your decisions are firmer. Slowness in reaction is not weakness. It is strength returning to its proper place. Reaction wastes strength. Response conserves it. Conserved strength accumulates. Accumulated strength produces endurance. Endurance produces authority. Authority attracts opportunity. Opportunity, when met without fear, becomes result. This chain does not break once established. It reinforces itself with each correct response. You are not becoming immune to difficulty. You are becoming immune to collapse. Difficulty will still appear, but it will no longer dominate your thoughts or dictate your conduct. It will take its proper place as something to be handled, not feared. Fear exaggerates. Calm clarifies. Clarification is the doorway through which progress enters. Men often believe they must rid themselves of all fear before they can live effectively. This belief itself creates struggle. Fear weakens naturally when it is no longer consulted. You do not need to defeat it. You need only stop asking its opinion. You have begun doing this. That change alone alters destiny. Destiny is not an event waiting in the future. It is a direction established in the present. Once direction is set, movement follows naturally. Movement guided by direction does not require constant correction. It adjusts itself. Self-adjustment is the sign of a system in balance. You are becoming balanced. Balance does not eliminate ambition. It removes desperation. Desperation repels the very things ambition seeks. Balance attracts them. Balanced men are trusted. Trusted men are supported. Supported men advance. Advancement feels different now. It does not feel like climbing against resistance. It feels like moving forward with assistance. Assistance rarely arrives with ceremony. It arrives through people, timing, information, and openings that feel natural. Because they feel natural, men often fail to recognize their importance until later. Later recognition is sufficient. You do not need to label experiences as miracles for them to function. Labels are for explanation, not for living. Living responds to what is accepted, not to what is named. Acceptance is now your advantage. You accept that favorable outcomes are possible. You accept that assistance exists. You accept that effort aligned with law produces results. These acceptances have settled beneath thought. What settles beneath thought governs action. You will act differently now without knowing why. You will decline what once tempted you. You will pursue what once intimidated you. You will rest when once you worried. These choices will feel obvious rather than brave. Obvious choices are the mark of clarity. Clarity does not shout, it directs. Others will notice that you no longer seem hurried. Hurry communicates fear of loss. Calm communicates confidence in timing. People trust those who trust time. Time responds kindly to those who do not attempt to dominate it. You may also notice that your tolerance for disorder has decreased. You will be less willing to engage in confusion, argument, or aimless effort. This is not impatience. It is discernment. Discernment preserves strength. Strength preserved produces consistency. Consistency produces reputation. Reputation opens doors quietly. These doors do not appear suddenly. They appear at moments that feel almost unremarkable. A conversation, a request, an invitation. Yet each carries weight. Weight accumulates. Accumulated weight alters direction. Direction, once altered, carries life into new territory. You may not realize you have entered new territory until you look back and see how far you have traveled without struggle. This is how real change occurs. The mind that has learned to rest, no longer sabotages itself. It no longer predicts failure in advance. It no longer rehearses disappointment. These habits fade because they are no longer needed. What is no longer needed cannot survive. Needlessness is the enemy of fear. Fear exists to protect what is perceived as fragile. You no longer perceive yourself as fragile. You perceive yourself as supported. Support changes everything. Supported men do not panic. Supported men do not rush. Supported men do not betray their own judgment. They proceed. Proceeding without fear is power. Power that does not announce itself endures. You may sleep now without guarding your thoughts. The guarding habit belongs to the past. The deeper mind has accepted new instruction. It will continue to organize around it without supervision. You may wake without scanning the day for threat. Threat loses its fascination when confidence returns. You may live without rehearsing explanations. Explanation is no longer required when conduct speaks clearly. This is not the end of effort. It is the end of inner opposition. Effort aligned with law is not exhausting. It is satisfying. Satisfaction does not dull ambition. It refines it. Refined ambition serves purpose rather than ego. Purpose stabilizes life. Life stabilized begins to give more than it takes. You are entering that exchange now. Nothing more needs to be said. Nothing more needs to be added. Rest in what has been established. Move forward in what has been accepted. The order holds, the alignment remains. And life will continue responding faithfully, quietly, and in proper time.